Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the Ingram in Phoenix, Arizona. Today I'm doing a video talking about the 2024 Record Store Day Black Friday list, which I have here. Every single Black Friday, people come into the store and they say the same thing, and that's, oh, this list is not very good. There's only a few things on this list I want. This is one of the worst lists. I hear that quite a bit, but I kind of did some soul searching and some thinking on this, and I thought to myself, why is that? Why do we hear that so much? And I think really what it amounts to is the list is about a fourth of the size of the Record Store Day list. So you get these massive Record Store Day, there's only one Record Store Day a year, and that is in April. This is really an event by Record Store Day, but not really a Record Store Day. But the list is about a fourth of the size. So you get all this quantity of stuff, which is going to hit a lot more people as far as what they want in their collections. And then Black Friday rolls around and the list is a lot smaller. So I think that is what ends up happening year after year. But there's actually quite a few things on this list that I'm excited about. Record Store Day has changed a lot. When I started Record Store Day, doing Record Store Day years ago, it was all the 7-inch indie singles you could possibly want that I had almost no interest in. Then it kind of morphed. They started doing more LPs. They started broadening, the spectrum of what they were going to offer. More jazz got brought in. Some classical got brought in. And the list balanced out more, and almost all the 7 inches are gone. Unfortunately, there's still more picture discs than I would personally like. But, short of losing the picture discs, Record Store Day in general is in a really good place as far as providing things people want. Not everything for everybody, but there's a lot of stuff on these lists that people want. So for Record Store Day, we open up the store at 8 o'clock Arizona time. And typically, the way it works with Record Store Day now is everything that is not sold in the store the day of goes on the website the following day. And I want to say 8 o'clock 8 o'clock Eastern time. We're in Arizona, but I think everything goes live 8 o'clock Eastern time. From memory, that's kind of where it goes. I'll have more information of everything, when it drops the week of the event. But, we put a little thing on the website and we talk about it at a little more length. But yeah, and we order a significant amount of stuff. So we typically have most of the list available for our online customers because we realize there's a lot of people, obviously in Phoenix, big city, but there's a lot of people that shop from us that are not anywhere near. I get emails all the time. Man, I wish there was a record store in my town, let alone one that was like yours, Mike. I have no record stores within 300 miles, 400 miles. So there's a lot of parts of the country that don't really have functioning record stores, or if they are, they don't really do use new records, because a lot of record stores, it's not profitable. In order to make any money whatsoever selling new records, you got to sell a lot of new records. It's a grind. You know what I mean? Okay, I want to talk about the stuff that I am the most interested in, and I also want to push back that this is a crummy list, and it can't be a crummy list because there's two things that prevent any list from being a crummy list. That is a release by Taylor Swift or the Beatles. If you have a Taylor Swift release or a Beatles release, you got a good list. And we have no Taylor Swift release, which is unfortunate, but we have a Beatles release. It is a 7-inch, but it's a Beatles release. Have I mentioned there's a Beatles release? Beatles fans like to buy records, collectors, and they'll be in and they'll be lining up because there's actually two Beatles releases. Although last Record Store Day, there was a Beatles release and a John, Paul, George, and Ringo release, which was kind of cool. But we're getting a little Beatles release for this as well. Okay. I've got some notes here. The first thing I want to talk about is, do I want to start off with some jazz titles? Yeah, why not? Max Roach, Deeds Not Words. This is a craft release, kind of probably an OJC without the branding and without the price, more along the lines of what they do for the contemporary series, in that price bracket anyways, and probably in that quality range. It's all analog, cut from the original analog master tape by Kevin Gray. They're only doing 2,500 of them, and that's kind of a thing that is a little bit shocking on this list. If these numbers are accurate, which sometimes the numbers on the Record Store Day website are a little wonky, but if these numbers are accurate, boy, this is a lot of short printed stuff. But yeah, 2,500 of them. Max Roach, Deeds Not Words. I'm looking forward to that. All analog jazz release, great title. Yeah. Speaking of the Beatles releases, there's 2 Beatles releases. There's another 3-inch single, which I'm not really a fan of the 3-inch singles, but they sell really well year after year, and they do well. More of a shelf conversation piece for me. But they're doing All My Loving as a 3-inch single, but it's the single and a little carrying case to hold all the singles from Record Store Day earlier in the year. But the big one is actually the 7-inch. They're doing an I Want to Hold Your Hand. I Want to Hold Your Hand. I saw her standing there. I think that was the first Capitol release, if I'm not mistaken. But they're doing a 7-inch of that to kind of coincide with the upcoming box set. And the reason I say it's to coincide with that is because this is all analog, cut from the original tape that they used to make the original by Kevin Reeves, who's their in-house mastering engineer at Universal Nashville, who's cutting the box set. So this is kind of a little ancillary item for the box set, but yeah, kind of cool. Yeah, 7-inch. They're only doing 10,000 of them. 10,000 seems like a lot, but 10,000 is not a lot. It's the Beatles. There's a lot of Beatles fans. A lot of Beatles fans. 10,000 is not a huge number. But this next one, I think, is wildly underprinted. If this is the actual number of this, that ain't good. That is The Doors, live in Detroit. This is the single most, this is the title I'm looking forward to by, I was listening to it before I even filmed this video. I can't tell you how much I love this concert. This originally came out only on CD, part of the Bright Midnight Archive series. So this is the archive series for The Doors. It was about 15, 20 years ago these came out. Probably closer to 20. Oh my God, 24 years ago in 2000. These are actually quite expensive. A lot of these Bright Midnight Archive releases, the CDs, because they didn't really come out in vinyl, are $50 to a couple $100 a piece. They're pretty rare and pretty difficult to get at this point in time. It's coming out as a 4 LP set. Fantastic concert. Really good recording, like a really good recording. I think a lot of people have gotten turned off on the Doors recordings because they did the Bakersfield concert, which is a known tape, but known to not be very good, and the Matrix, which is a very historic concert, but again, not known to be great sounding. This is a great sounding concert. A lot of the stuff not all of it, but a lot of the stuff that was done on the Bright Midnight Archive series was fantastic. But I think a lot of people might be a little soured by some of the past releases that have come out. But the thing is, I look back on some of those Matrix 10 inches and some of the past concerts they've done for Record Store Day, and they've done 10, 11, 12,000, and they've sold out the day of or shortly after on the following day when they go online. But I've never had them for more than a day. They always sell out, and those are at 12,000, 12,500 units. They're only doing 5,000 of these, so significantly less and significantly better of a show. So that's mind-boggling. The market has changed a little bit. It's not crazy like it was a couple of years ago. It's nothing like it was in 2019, 2020, pre-COVID, but it's nothing like it was in 2021, 2022 either. It's a little softer, but still 5,000 copies. Too much. I feel like we're in a situation with Record Store Day where they've done too much and now maybe too little. This next one I'm a little bit intrigued with, but I'm probably not going to get it because they're probably going to F it all up. And that is Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft. This is an isolated vocal album, but it's not an a cappella album. I kind of found out that they actually released this digitally, and I was able to sample it a little bit by Googling it, and I found like 15-second TikToks that kind of showed a little bit of it. Essentially what it is it's her latest album where they have kind of dialed the mix in a way that the instruments are very soft and very sparse, but they're there, and her voice is more predominant. The background, everything vocal related is much more predominant in the mix. I like Billie Eilish. I like this record. Well, I like this digital file, because the record is the absolute trash because they put it on Eco Vinyl, the original. So it's the only Billie Eilish record I don't have in my collection, but I actually do like her. A lot of people, I get a lot of the famous comment is, I can't handle the whisper, the whisper singing, but I think it's unique and I like it. But the record is so atrocious. That Eco Vinyl is such trash. It's horrid. Horrid. Eco trash. Absolutely horrible. Don't buy Eco Trash records. But if you got to have this, and it happens to be on Eco Trash, I will sell it to you at theingroove.com the day after, or you can come into the store. I wouldn't personally buy it, and I would encourage people not to buy it because it sets an absolute horrible trend in the marketplace to start supporting purposely crummy sounding records. But, that's just my opinion. I'll sell anything if, it's legal and it's a record, because, I'm not the final word in it, but yeah, I'm very disappointed in the Eco Vinyl trend, but I'm looking forward to possibly getting this again, depending. 25,000 copies. It's a lot, but it probably not. Billie Eilish has a huge fan base. Keep in mind, the last Taylor Swift LP that came out for Record Store Day, they made 120,000 of them, which everybody was like, oh, this is a ridiculous amount. You want to buy that record today? $400. Made 120,000 of them, but the demand is so high, it's a $400 record on the secondary market. So yeah. Okay. Let's get a few more of my jazz titles out of the way. Aha. Emily Remler. This is not a jazz guitarist that is spoken about very often. I actually think she's fantastic. She's a jazz guitarist from the 80s. Fantastic player. Her records are really hard to get, and even CDs of hers are very difficult to get. If you get any of their, she was originally a Concord artist, but if you get anything by her from the 80s on CD or vinyl, they're about $50 a piece. And a lot of the stuff that came out on Concord in the 80s are $6, $7, $8 records. There's very few records of that era on Concord that pull the kind of money that Emily does. But she's fantastic. Although I don't think I've ever heard anybody ever talk about her. But Resonance is doing a 3 LP set live at the Four Queens, 1985 to 1988. They're only doing 1,400 of them. But fantastic guitarist. I actually found her by accident. About 10 years ago when I first opened this store, I was pricing some CDs. And, it was like a lot of wiffle ball jazz. And it was like scanning them, $1, 50 cents, $1, $3, $60. I'm like, $60? And it was Emily Remler's first album on CD. And I'm like, I got to hear this. Why is this $60? I listened to it. It was fantastic. Every record I've ever saw of hers that have come in the store, I've kept. I mean, the first one anyways. But although they're not that common, I'm going to pick that up. From Org Music, who's done a lot of great all-analog stuff that Bernie Grunman's cut over the years. They're the ones who put out the Nirvana Nevermind, Bernie Grunman cut, analog. I don't know if this is analog, but they're doing Shahib's Jazz Party After Hours. Very, very rare record to find. And if you find an original, it's going to run you about $1,000. If it's in good shape, it's going to run you probably closer to $1,500, $2,000. Great record. A high dollar record. They're doing it as a 2 LP set. I don't know what the sourcing is on it, but it's definitely a pickup for me because it's an also to find this record, it's a European record. Much like the one Sam put out, the Danish radio. My brain quit. I'm sorry, but you know the one I'm talking about from Sam. Like $5,000-$6,000 record. This is another one that's quite expensive, and it just doesn't turn up in the United States. But they're only doing 1,250 of them. Crazy numbers. Yeah, go figure on that. Okay, another title that I'm looking to pick up is, and I don't know if I'm looking to necessarily pick this up, but maybe. So, a Better Than Ezra's Deluxe. It's got probably their biggest hit, which was Good, right? Great 90s rock record. Probably somewhat forgotten at this point. But they came out with an original pressing of it about 4 or 5 years ago. And I've got a autographed copy that came in a collection. Some of them were autographed. It came in a collection. I don't know, but it's sealed. I probably should just bust that thing open, but being that it's an autographed copy, it's one of the few records I have in my collection that are sealed, but I don't know. I might open that and I might open this one and see which one sounds better. Although I'll probably keep the autographed one anyways because it's cool and it's technically the first pressing. But it's a great record. It's not very easy to find. And they're only making 1,500 of them. That's crazy. So this is going to be, again, like that first pressing that came out 4 or 5 years ago. This is just going to be a really difficult to find record. So yeah. And I think that is about it. Now, there's a bunch of other great stuff on here, but I'm really focusing on this list more along the lines of the stuff that I am interested in. Now, I can tell you some of the stuff that I think is going to be popular, because I've been asked about quite a lot of things on this list so far. The MF Doom stuff, they're doing a cassette, a CD long box, in an album of Operation Doomsday, a 25th anniversary. I get asked about that a lot. That's going to be a successful record for us. Every time they do a Grateful Dead box set, it's always wildly successful. I've told you guys many times before, I'm not the biggest Grateful Dead fan. Go ahead and fillet me in the comments below. A little bit too much noodling for me, especially these live shows. But they're doing the Veterans Memorial Coliseum show, New Haven. I think it's a 70s show, but I don't remember. 4 LP box set. That'll do really, really well. I do well with most of the hip-hop releases. Helmet's Betty. Very expensive record. It got released as a membership record for the Interscope Club, but not something I subscribe to. Originals, expensive. That's going to be really a popular release. I've gotten asked about that a lot. The Noah Kahan is really bizarre. I don't know Noah Kahan. There's been some Record Store Day releases of his that have just been the hottest title of the year. And there's just been the last Record Store Day they came out with one, and it kind of just sludged up. Couldn't really sell it that well. Herbie Hancock's Possibilities. It's an album that's never been released on vinyl, I don't think. It's coming out as a 3 LP set. It's essentially him doing a lot of it's kind of his duets record. You know, he's partnering with 20 big time, stars that are on that. They do a song together, kind of standard, not standards, but they're doing, we'll go with modern standards, but not my favorite Herbie Hancock record. I'm not a huge fan of jazz records with vocalists on them. So, but I've gotten asked about that quite a bit. I may or may not pick that up. I'm not sure. I'm going to listen to the CD a few more times. I've been asked about the Echo and the Bunnymen thing, two releases a few times. They're both singles, Silver and The Killing Moon. The jazz stuff I always will do really well with. But I have to, for me personally, like the Bill Evans Trio, live at the Kongsberg 1970 from Elemental, those Elemental releases are really fantastic or not so much. So I want to wait personally to see what the result is on those. Let's see. Kind of skimming. The Allman Brothers is going to be really do really well. Live show. Let's see. Again, I'm just skimming. The Thievery Corporation, The Richest Men in Babylon. I've been asked about that quite a few times. That'll be really good. The Yes, Fragile outtakes. I've been asked about that a bunch. That'll sell really well. There's a War box set from 1977 to 1994. A lot of those records are relatively difficult to find. That'll probably do well. So there's plenty of stuff on this list, I think, for the year. I mean, it's a small list, but there's a few things. Actually, there might be more stuff on this that I'm looking forward to than the 2024 actual Record Store Day list. So I'm not totally disappointed with this. So, check us out online at theingroove.com. Until next time.